This is Naked at Night with JD and Lance and Cassidy and Scott and Mark and frickin' me. And this is our theme song.
Naked at night.
And I'm super pissed at fucking Lance. Lance, in our last episode, last time we got together, you went on this rant and accused me and other libs of being soft on rape because I had to think about it when you asked if I think that all rapists should be put to death. And then I thought about it in the 2 weeks it's been since, and I got to ask you, what the fuck have you ever done about rape, Lance? Lance, when I was in college, I volunteered. I drove the night ride van, which took women home from the library to their sororities or apartments so they didn't get raped. I belonged to an organization called 100 Men Against Violence Against Women, and we went around to frats and talked to them about maybe not raping so many people. And most importantly, I was a bouncer in bars for 25 years. I carded 750,000 people. And I caught 12,000 underage people trying to sneak into my bars. 2/3 of those were women. Question for you, Cassidy. When you were young and inexperienced, did you ever hook up with people that you probably shouldn't have hooked up with?
Absolutely.
So I think I was proud of myself for keeping underage people out of bars, not primarily because of underage drinking, but because young women, like there were creepy guys who came to my bar night after night. I knew the creeps, and they always went home alone, mostly, unless they ran into an underage girl who wasn't experienced enough to see that they were creepy. In fact, sometimes in the bar, I would walk. One of my bars was easy to sneak into because it was a 5-acre beer garden, so it had a huge perimeter. And if I ever walked through the bar and saw like a cluster of creeps, I knew if I peeled away the creeps, at the center of the cluster would be an underage girl because she didn't know how to fend off and detect creeps. So I was more proud of kicking out underage girls and keeping them from having bad sexual experiences with creeps than I was about keeping underage people from drinking. So if you do the math, on 8,000 underage people I kicked out of bars, say 1/2 of 1% would have been picked up by a creep and would have had a bad time. I saved dozens of women from creep attacks. And you, Lance, Trump has been credibly accused of rape or sexual harassment or sexual assault by 28 different women. 2 juries found that when E. Jean Carroll said that she'd been raped by Trump, they found her credible. The first time he was accused of rape in a legal proceeding was when his first wife, Ivana, accused him of raping her. This would have been late 70s, early 80s. She recommended a cosmetic surgeon to him to address his baldness. And he went to the surgeon, and the procedure made his head hurt, which it does. I've had a bunch of hair transplants. They're when somebody pokes a bunch of holes in your scalp, it fucking hurts. So Trump comes, according to Ivana, Trump comes home all pissed off because his head is hurting. He pushes her down. He's pissed off about his hair, so he yanks out a bunch of her hair and he rapes her. And she testified to this in a deposition. So you support one of America's rapiest fucking presidents. Now you can say, well, what about Clinton? Yeah, Clinton was rapey too. That doesn't excuse frickin' Trump. And Trump, all right, is shutting down the Department of Education, including the Department of Education's mandates is to pursue civil rights investigations into rapes on college and even high school campuses and negotiate with the schools if they find that the schools are deficient in prosecuting rape. And with him shutting down the DOE, the action on rape investigations at high schools and colleges across America have been virtually shut down. So you essentially support a rapey president who is shutting down rape investigations. And you dare call me fucking soft on rape.
All right.
Wait, can I say one thing? Just please?
I can respond to him and then I can respond to you.
Well, can I say one little thing? Just
Okay,
because I
now
want to
now I
argue.
have to remember all the different things I'm responding to, but go ahead.
Okay, because I guess also there's like proof of him, like, or like, I guess on the Epstein files or something like that. It's noted, this was in the like 80s and 90s, that he had raped and molested 2 children, and then they were also murdered.
All right. Okay. So can I say something about that real quick?
All right.
Most of the accusations that came out in the latest Epstein file dump were just tips called into the FBI. So, and some of those tips came from crazy people. So when I say there were 28 credible accusations of sexual harassment or assault against Trump, none of those come out of the Epstein dumps.
Okay, we have to make some rules here because I'm now debating 3 people, and I have to be able to respond to each person. Otherwise, I can't remember 40 different accusations, okay? So I'm going to respond to Rick, and my time is going to start right now. I'm going to take the same amount of time as Rick took. So, Rick, we asked you last week what you thought the penalty for rape should be, and you said it should be between 10 and 15 years.
I mean, it depends on the situation.
Yeah, but we're just saying absolutely, definitely him. They don't know each other. He jumps out of the bushes. He did it. We've got witnesses, videos, whatever. 10 or 15 years, right, Rick?
I don't know, because I've had 2 weeks to think about it. And
Okay,
it
so
depends
what do
on
you-
the
No. A brutal rape. What do you think? What is the amount of time the criminal should get?
if it's one offense, again, I don't know the sentencing guidelines for rape.
I don't care.
All right. So let's say at least 15 years. And, if it's multiple rapes of the kind you're talking about, which are stranger rapes, maybe 30, maybe 40, maybe life if it's an incorrigible fucking offender who's.
Well, it doesn't work that way. What if somebody, all right, so let me explain the situation then. In the US, the average time that a rapist serves in prison for a local, if they're prosecuted locally, is about 6 years. And there's a difference between local and federal. For some reason, if it's federal, they do about 9 years. And that's because of people like Rick, who may personally not be a rapist, but he's a hypocrite because, and I don't mean to be cruel to you, Rick, but if we're going to use you as the example, then you have to understand that you keep voting for people that release rapists. The idea of releasing a rapist after 6 years, supposing somebody rapes your mother or your sister or your daughter, and then it's proven and he goes to jail and is released after 6 years, that's a Democrat thing. It's Democrat judges appointed by Democrat politicians and voted for by Democrats like yourself.
Yeah,
No, still talking.
All right.
Shut up. So the problem is that in spite of your noble inclinations, which I do not doubt, you keep electing Democrats that are getting people raped in America. And one of the other things they did was they brought in millions upon millions of illegal aliens from countries like the Congo and Venezuela that emptied their prison of rapists. And when they got here to America from Somalia and the Congo and Venezuela, guess what those rapists did? They raped American citizens. And that was the person you voted for. That was your policy. And when when Obama allowed ISIS to take over Iraq, when he surrendered to ISIS, what did they do in ISIS? In Iraq, they raped thousands upon thousands of women. And when Biden lost the Afghanistan war, the Taliban raped thousands of Afghan women and boys. So you may personally be of noble character, but the people you vote for have caused massive rape around the world, and they're bringing it to America. So thank you, Rick. Thank you for being a very foolish voter.
Well, what about supporting President Rapey?
I don't give a shit what you people make up about Trump. I've told you continuously that the Democrats will make up shit and they will find witnesses. For example, here, I'm going to take a minute. It turns out that a guy named Reid Hoffman bankrolled that stupid woman that is accusing Trump of rape. And he bankrolled her. And the Epstein files just released that he was mentioned in Epstein files 2,600 times. So Jean Carroll's lawsuit against Trump for being a rapist was bankrolled by a massive Democrat billionaire donor, and he was on Epstein Island. He also had a ranch where they raped. Wait, I'm not finished. So not only did your side trump up charges with this Jean Carroll, but you keep arguing about how he was found guilty by a bunch of New York Democrats. Guess what? That case is going to the Supreme Court. If they overturn it, are you going to say, well, he was found innocent? Are you? Because I don't think you will.
No, I mean, because
exactly.
No.
So that's my point. I don't accept.
Also,
I do not accept that a bunch of corrupt New York prosecutors and biased jury people are being fair to.
Your poor guy. They had
Trump,
MAGAs on those juries.
No.
Yeah, they fucking did.
I didn't hear what you said.
They had conservative.
Oh, I don't give a shit. Listen to me.
Yeah, you don't give a shit about the truth.
You made up stuff. You made up stuff about Kavanaugh. You make up stuff about every Republican. You come up with lies about them. You smear them because that's all you've got.
Trump smeared himself. Trump said on video that he grabs pussies without invitation.
Rick,
Trump says he
you've
walks.
Said worse. I've heard you say worse. In here alone over the past 8 years.
What?
I'm not going to say it.
What did I do worse? I jerked off on a plane once. That was a victimless crime? Who fucking cares? I've never grabbed somebody's pussy without consent, Lance, and I certainly didn't brag about it. I didn't buy beauty pageants and then walk backstage to look at underage girls naked or in their underpants, Lance.
Rick, okay, did you want to say something?
Not yet.
Okay, all right. So let me give a minute now. I'm going to take, are we talking? So, all right, I'm going to take 3 minutes.
To talk to who?
To you, to respond. You just took a lot of time accusing Trump of shit. So now,
yeah, because he's fucking rapey.
Okay,
he admits being rapey.
I'm going to respond right now.
I mean, he's not a fucking prince.
Rick is diverting. Okay. I started out my opposition by saying that Democrat policies that Rick voted for have caused countless rapes in the United States, in Iraq and in Afghanistan, all because of deliberate Democrat policies. Now, Rick has decided that he can't argue that because he knows that the Democrats are responsible for thousands upon thousands of rapes.
I can fucking argue that because immigrants to the U.S., whether fucking fine, I don't fucking care. Whether legal or I know you're the boss of time.
I have 4 minutes. And you
how many times you're just going to keep talking for little multiples of 4 minutes? Fucking Lance.
You just spoke for 4 minutes. That's our deal. We're trying not to do a show where we talk over each other because that was making it impossible to have a show. So now I get time to talk.
You've been talking.
I'm going to continue talking for 2 minutes and 45 more seconds.
Go.
But since you interrupted me,
no, you don't get. This isn't fucking hockey. You don't get bonus minutes for fucking being interrupted.
Yeah, you do because
why? You're the boss of every.
No, it's just that you can't control yourself, Rick. We can't have a
no because I finally get pissed because you win arguments by just being louder and more belligerent. And I got to be more belligerent with you because you are a bullshit peddler.
Okay,
you suck up whatever bullshit your pundits tell you, and you just spit it out with vehemence. And I'm sick of it.
Okay. Now I'm going to start over again. I'm going to take 4 minutes. I'm going to take 4 minutes. So let me reiterate that Democrat policies have caused massive rapes around the U.S.
Bull fucking shit. Immigrants have a lower rate of all violent crime than non-immigrants, whether they're legal or not.
All right, reclaiming my time. I'm going to take 4 minutes. So the problem is that Rick can't do math. So what he's done is he says, well, if immigrants come in and they commit the same amount of rape as American citizens, then they're not a problem. Well, you see, the thing is, those rapes would not have occurred. It's not like an American woman was going to get raped by a white guy from Texas or a Venezuelan. But what happened is that the white guy would have gotten her the same amount of times as the Venezuelan would have. When you bring in Venezuelan rapists right out of jail and Congolese rapists right out of Congolese jails, those people add additional people to rapes, women that would not have been raped by American citizens. That's the whole point. If you bring rapists into the country by the thousands, which Biden did, and then you let them rape, that's additional rapes. See, this is basic addition. It doesn't matter if their rates are lower, which I don't believe.
Do you have some bullshit statistics
No.
on rapes committed by Venezuelans in America? Did one of your fucking pundits come up with some bullshit numbers?
Taking back my time.
You're just going to keep it. So if I interrupt you, you're just going to keep talking.
You could stop interrupting me.
No, fucking, because you are such a bullshit slinger. I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it, Lance. I watched Nuremberg last night, the movie, and fucking Germany did not become great by getting rid of the Jews. Germany became great when they got rid of the fucking Nazis. America won't be great by getting rid of the blacks and browns. America will become great by getting rid of the racist motherfucking MAGAs.
I agree.
Okay. Can you lower your head, please? All right. Taking back my time. I'm going to take 3 minutes. So Rick is race baiting me now. So he doesn't have a good argument. So he's just calling me a racist. And the problem is that Biden brought in thousands upon thousands of criminals. And by the way, they refused, not only were they rapists right out of jails in the third world, but they refused to turn them over to ICE. So we're trying to get them out of the jails and deport them. And the Democrat leaders around the country want to keep them in America. They don't want to deport the rapists.
Again,
not
which
only-
is bullshit.
No, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. So what's happening is they knew, by the way, that these people were rapists and murderers before they let them in. They knew that. And the Democrats didn't care because they need the voters. And they need people to increase the electoral college votes of the states that they were shipping their illegals to. You see, the only way they can get elected is on the census. We count illegal aliens as well as regular
As humans,
citizens.
you're supposed to take account of all the people in a state, whether they're legal or not.
Right. So the point is that way California and New York and Illinois get more electoral college votes than they deserve. So the Democrats thought, look, it doesn't matter if the person's a murderer or a rapist. We're going to let them stay in the country. And they didn't vet them. They knew on countless occasions, they knew that they were criminals. But they let them stay here because they needed the votes. And that's the thing I'm objecting to, Rick. You've got these false accusations against Trump, which you think protects you. Somehow.
Well, it doesn't protect women from fucking Trump.
Okay,
I don't think
well,
Trump rapes
well,
anymore. I don't think his penis works anymore.
I don't. Okay, so all right. I'm going to finish up right now. The fact that Rick comes up with false accusations or unbelievable accusations against Trump doesn't counter the thousands upon thousands of rapes and murders that have occurred because of Democrat policies. Now you may speak, Rick.
Okay, so when it comes to electoral college, you make an interesting point in that, yeah, the number of representatives in the House of Representatives, the number of electoral votes depends on the absolute population of a state, whether or not it's citizen or non-citizen. But if you do the math, California has 2.93 million undocumented immigrants, illegals. Texas has 2 million undocumented. Florida has 1.2 million. Then we look at Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. Probably the total number of electoral votes that are due to illegal immigrants, probably the majority of those go to red states. The whole southeast coast from Texas to Florida, those are all red states, and they have some of the largest numbers of illegals.
Well, one of the things, what the Democrats are doing right now is we've introduced a bill to not count.
Yeah,
people.
that's voter fucking suppression.
Please don't interrupt me, Rick.
It's
Rick,
not,
would you please stop?
let me correct myself.
No,
it's not voter suppression.
I can't say a word. I can't say a sentence.
No, because
would you please stop interrupting me? You know, I understand that you're full of passion about this, but we can't have a show if you don't let me speak. So please calm down. One of the things that the Republicans are trying to do with the new census is not count people unless they're American citizens. But the Democrats are fighting that.
Yeah, because the Constitution says you want to amend the Constitution, fine.
I don't care whether we amend it or not. My point is that it is a noble and important thing to only count American citizens, and the Democrats are against it.
No, it's bullshit.
And the Democrats are against it because they're cheating. And furthermore, the Republicans have introduced a bill where you have to provide a picture ID to vote, and the Democrats are trying to stop it. Why is that, Rick? You can
because
speak now.
ID is required when you register to vote. So when you go to your voting place, which is usually your local precinct where they know you've already been fucking verified.
Okay.
And all right, the Heritage Foundation, a hyper-conservative organization, has a thing called the Voter Integrity Project, where they keep track of every documented instance of voter fraud over the past 40 years. 2,000 votes have been cast fraudulently, according to the Heritage Foundation, out of a total of 2 billion total votes cast in the last, 20, 30 years, a rate of 1 in a million. Fraudulent votes have never been enough to flip any fucking election. There's no significant voter fraud in the United States.
Okay, I'm going to
Can I say
respond
one
now.
thing?
Yeah, let Cass.
So also, I feel like, okay, if you look at the numbers when the Democratic parties were in the office, they were still deporting people. There were large numbers of deportations, but they weren't harassing like civilians. Like if you look on different Democratic offices, there's still a lot of deportations with actual criminals, like them working on their actual jobs without harassment.
Oh, yeah, also, like, Obama was the king of deportation.
But
Like-
he wasn't harassing people.
So,
and
yeah,
scaring people.
more people were deported under Obama than any other president. More people than Trump under
Well, good.
Bush.
Okay.
I think Trump won.
All right,
his
let's
first,
keep that
administ-
up. Let's keep it up.
Yeah, you guys are shit at deporting people. Also, the guy who got tough on crime, who put away super predators was his phrase for them, who tripled the number of prisoners in prison, in U.S. prisons in just a few years. That was a Democrat. Bill Clinton locked everybody up, including, I'm sure, a shit ton of rapists. So if you want tough on crime, look to a Democrat.
Okay, so you think that the penalty for rape should be 12 years then, Rick?
So
What should the penalty be for raping a woman?
So I don't know, because what I'd look at is when somebody is a child predator,
Yes. What should
one thing they
penalty
look
be?
at is this person safe to be
Uh-huh.
let out of?
Just give me a
custody?
number, Rick.
I'm
Shut
not
up
giving
and
you
give
a
me
fucking number. I'm giving you some fucking reasoning,
No,
which
you're a
is
coward.
shut up for a fucking sec. You tell me, a child predator, if they serve their term, they still have to be looked at to see if they are safe to release. And if they're not, in a lot of venues, then they can still be kept. And that should be the standard for rapists. If before you release a rapist,
Yeah.
after however many years, 10 or 12 or whatever, I mean, you should be able to, they should be put before some psychiatric professionals who can see whether it can judge
I
the
see.
likelihood that they will re-offend.
I'm
And
very
they won't
impressed.
always be accurate, but maybe they'd be accurate to 80%, 90%.
Okay, so let me respond, if that's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Rick is dithering and confused right now.
I'm not. I just said clearly what I think.
Yeah,
But,
well,
like,
it was kind of vague. I'm
No, let's
gonna
be
answer-
clear. If a guy-
no, I'm answering now. I'm responding to you.
You want to kill all rapists.
I want to kill all rapists. Yes, and in fact, when somebody rapes a child, I can save us a lot of time with psychiatrists and careful evaluations and rehabilitations. If you rape a child, you should be executed. If you rape a woman, you should be executed. And that's why when I ask you, I expected a number, 30 years, you're in jail for child rape, you should be executed. But no, you have this lengthy leftist, liberal, Democrat answer that's going to end up exactly where we are right now. That's the problem, is Rick has got all these complex codicils and ways of reasoning it out. No, just kill the motherfucker.
Well, should all
Just kill
murderers, what about murderers? Should they all be executed?
Most of them, it depends on
Unless it's like
the kind of
self-defense.
crime. Yeah, but that's not murder.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So,
What is
yeah.
it called again?
That's justifiable homicide.
So you're saying that all rapists should be murdered, should be executed, but not all murderers.
No.
What if it was someone like in college, like deeply, like maybe he's 17 years old and he's like really under the influence of alcohol and like he wasn't like fully. That's like where I am like, okay, like if it's a 17-year-old who is totally inebriated and takes advantage of another 17-year-old, but inebriated.
Well, it should be, that's up to the discretion of a judge.
Yeah.
So in other words, I would say that the death penalty should be an option for rape. But
it would be aggressive rape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It wouldn't be two people are on a date and both of them are drunk. I'm not talking about that.
Not that.
I'm talking about raping a child.
Yeah.
I'm talking about jumping out of the bushes and raping a woman on her way home from work.
Yes.
This is execution. But Rick can't figure that out. He's going to keep voting for psychologists and boards of analysts to try to see if the person's been rehabilitated, and I'm against that because I'm a Republican and I vote for Trump, who Rick hates.
Yeah, but it's weird because Trump himself has talked about.
But Trump has raped people.
Yeah, and
he was never convicted of such a thing. That's just your emotions.
But Trump has talked on tape about
I'm
video.
Psychic. I think he gives rapey energy and like his accusations. Like when
And plus
I tune into him, I like actually am like genuinely like, okay, yeah, I think these are true.
Let's go.
Mark has a thing to say.
Speaking of accusations and all along those lines, I was actually going to ask our lovely model this question and all along those lines. But how worried were you when you were in college? And it probably wasn't that long ago because I live not that far from a major Southern, what would be considered almost an Ivy League-like school and everything like that. And I know a lot of the women there are worried about what you were alluded to earlier, which is date rape. So how worried were you in school about that? And is that something that you still worry about as a young lady? Because we're talking about the extreme of rape and everything like that. There is a thing called date rape that is very much big.
Actually, it's actually crazy. I mean, I'm 32 now. I'm going to college now, but it's not for that experience. It's not a right out of high school thing. But I did party like in high school and right out of high school. And it's something that like happened to very close friends of mine. It's happened to me. And then also like even now as a 32-year-old woman I don't go out anymore, but having friends that do go out and party, especially around here, it's something that every woman is always worried about.
Yep. And I'm going to bring in the Canadian quarter, see what they got to say about that in Canada. And I think he's overseas in Ukraine and all.
Hello.
Those lines.
So I did.
Doesn't have to tell us where and everything like that. But how big? I know it's a problem overseas and all along those lines. It's a problem in our military.
Yeah, I think if you look at some of the statistics globally, I mean, they're pretty high. But I think, and they're actually high for men too, by the way. But I think there's places where like Japan is quite low. I think extremely low compared to global averages, where other areas in that same region will be quite high. But I looked at the punishments in the United States. So it is a felony in all 50 states, rape, sexual assault, or criminal sexual misconduct. The minimums are often 5 to 10 years in prison. Common ranges are what Sir Rick was pushed to state from Lance of 10 to 30 years. And maximums are life imprisonment in many states. Some aggravating factors can be like,
Rick or Scott, the numbers that men are sentenced to are not the same as the actual time they serve. So they serve about half the time of the sentence.
Yeah.
So it may say 30 years, but what it is 15. And it may say 10, but it's 6.
Right. Yeah, they mentioned that was like plea bargaining can be the big variable factor there.
Hey, speaking of that, and this is for everybody on the panel, since we're on my segment and Scott's segment as well, but I'll bring it to our model. How much do you believe in rehabilitation? And do you think rehabilitation is even possible? Because as I've said before, I've got a friend that was convicted of manslaughter, but he's been out for decades now, and he hasn't gone back. He's actually a model citizen and does a lot of work with at-risk youth and all along those lines. So I personally think that it is possible, but some people that are advocates of heavy sentencing don't think rehabilitation is even possible. So do you believe in rehabilitation, Ms. Model?
I do, because okay, so we were talking about this earlier. Like, I am a former drug addict, but I'm sober now for 10 years off drugs. But like in that realm of like the things that I've seen in life and the types of people that I've like worked with, I've seen people who've completely like I've actually known people who've killed people because they were like maybe gang banging or something in drugs, and then they've gotten sober and like changed their life, or like maybe they hit someone as a drunk driver. And so I'm like, I guess it just depends with the situation and how much the person has a willingness to change. But I do think a lot of people aren't aware of like the certain situations, like their social situations and like mental health situations. And like, if you become aware of the full picture and start working on that, you can rehabilitate yourself. But it's under specifics. Like, it has to be, like, there's nuance to it all.
Let me throw in another weird thing, which is that Elon Musk has a company called Neuralink, which puts chips in people's heads. And about 1% of Americans already have chips in their bodies. Most of them are pacemakers, but some of them are cochlear implants for their ears. Some of them are for their Parkinson's in their brain. And in the next 10, 20 years, we will have chips that might have people have written about this in science fiction for a long time, chips that might regulate behavior. And if we have those, and we can put chips in people's heads of people who are assholes to make them not assholes or violent criminals, do we still kill or imprison those people for life? Is the function of the justice system purely vengeance? And that will be more of a question when we have technology that will shut people down when they want to do something violent.
Hey, Lance, what do you think about rehabilitation? Because I know for a fact that even your favorite president, Trump, has backed some rehabilitation efforts of some rappers and some others and all along those lines. So what is your take on rehabilitation? Because there have been some rappers that he has been fans of that went through some hard times, whatever those hard times were.
Okay. So the problem we have is that the idea of rehabilitation is being abused. So there's a story, I'll give you an example. There was a woman who in her 20s, she murdered a couple while they were in bed. They begged for their lives and she shot them anyway. She was burglarizing their house. And then she was captured and given the death penalty, and she was on death row for about 25 more years, 20 years, and she became a model prisoner. She found Jesus. She was very kind. Everybody loved her. That was the only bad thing she ever did in her life, apparently. And everybody said, well, she's no longer a threat to society. Let's just let her go. And my argument is, one, she had the opportunity to grow that she didn't give those two people that she murdered. So she had the opportunity to grow and change and become a better person, but she took that from them. And I don't think she deserved that opportunity. Of course she's going to change, but that doesn't mean she deserves the opportunity to change. Moreover, punishment is not vengeance. Punishment is justice. So if you are executed for murder, it's not that the state is being vengeful. The state is giving you what you deserve for what you did. So I don't care if people are remorseful or if they change or if they're no longer a threat to society. we have to establish a system where we punish criminals, because right now things are out of control. I'd say we should go back to the way things were maybe 60 years ago, and then we can start picking and choosing who may be eligible for rehabilitation.
60 years ago, we had a lower percentage of people in prison than we do now. The U.S. is the most punitive nation on earth, with more people in prison and jail than any other country in the world, even countries like India and China that have 4.5 times our population. So we punish people with longer sentences, harsher sentences than any other nation in the world.
That's a lie.
It's not. It's fucking not. Look it up.
The Chinese execute people. We don't.
Yeah, but in absolute numbers, we have more people
I
locked up.
understand that. It doesn't matter. The Chinese will shoot you. We don't do that. We lock people up, sure, but we release them. The Chinese just execute people. So and furthermore, there are countries all around the world that execute people. The fact that we have more people in jail is completely irrelevant to our discussion.
But I have got one more thing. Like, I don't like necessarily killing prisoners, because then their suffering is over. They're dead. They've been erased. I would rather, and you should support me in this. For particular, the Constitution prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. And I don't love that in every instance, because I think certain heinous criminals should be kept alive, and they should be fed 1/8 of an inch, well, 1/16 of an inch at a time, day by day, into a deli slicer. If somebody's particularly bad, you should start at their feet. And those deli slicers with the big spinning blade that, you order a 1/4 pound of ham and the guy slices the ham? You have one of those in the joint. And every day it's time for your slicing, and you just push them up to the deli slicer and take another slice off of them until they gradually disappear, a 1/16 of an inch at a time.
Mark, could you please save us?
What's the matter with that, Lance? That's tough on crime, Lance.
One of our patients here is going nuts.
Why?
So
what's the
could
matter
you
with
please ask
Well,
another?
I was going to ask Scott really quickly about how it is in terms of law and order in Ukraine. I know they're going through a major war, but I know that they still got to keep their own citizens under law and order and everything like that. So how are you feeling? Because this is like I think your second or third time visiting that country. We don't need to know where, but you're visiting that country and everything. But how are they doing in terms of law and order?
So for the law and order, the crime rate did decline since the full-scale invasion. That was as early as my first trip. This is the third trip on the clarification point there. I don't know the specifics around the comprehensive legal sweep that they have set up. However, they have rapidly reduced their amount of corruption, although there is still a significant amount. They used to rank probably in the 160s or something on corruption indexes, and that's gone down maybe somewhere around 100.
Out of all the countries on earth, they were among the most corrupt, is what you're saying.
Yes. Their media press freedom index has gone from somewhere around 100 to 62 in the last 3 or 4 years. So they've been improving, but still significantly poor on a bunch of these things. I would assume the same for a lot of the legal system. The main thing that I have seen around, primarily been around press freedom. So with regards to martial law, for instance, Russia has gone down in press rankings from 155 to 171, out of 180, but it's for regime calcification. On the Ukraine side, it's during wartime in terms of defense, and so they've had some issues around prosecution and illegitimate sort of things on that nature around journalists, but not outright murder of journalists. Over 100 media people have been killed. In terms of just regular crime, I have some anecdotes, but granted, consider that weak evidence as anecdotes, where there would be petty thefts of elderly women on frontline cities like Kharkiv or something along those lines of type of crimes. and there'd be social reprisal rather than formal criminal investigations and prosecution. So they would, in the middle of winter, tie these men to a post and pull their pants down, and then just leave them there. That's a social reprisal
Where
rather than
you
a
are,
criminal.
where you are, it's what, 0 degrees Fahrenheit right now, right?
Right. Yeah. But yeah, 0, 1, -1 Fahrenheit. Yeah. Approximately minus 17, 18 Celsius.
I have a question for Scott. May I ask a question? Scott?
Sure, let's go ahead. Yep.
So does it look like the Ukrainians could somehow beat the Russians out of the territory that they've captured?
That's a good question. I would say that's still up in the air. I know some recent reports are that the number of dead and injured on the Russian side are starting to pace with their recruitment numbers. That becomes a critical factor because then obviously your total number of your army is being reduced, and Putin's really probably very against a full mobilization of the population. And in terms of, there's been some territories where they push them back, but it tends to be pretty incremental. I think for the last couple of years now, any win on either side has been very marginal. They're losing thousands of lives, for a few hundred yards or something, a few hundred meters, and so potentially, but it would primarily be due to the fact of large scale and sophisticated use of drones, plus intel to know where to use the drones. Because they are fighting a bigger power, and a bigger power that's using a significant amount of its economy to fund the military.
Well, the reason I ask is that the Republican position that I've been holding is it would be terrific if the Ukrainians could somehow push them back. Maybe we've got weapons we could give them that would allow them to do that. But if we can't dislodge that army from the eastern provinces, the Russian army, then the Ukrainians are going to have to give up some territory, because if they can't get it back, nobody else will get it back.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. I know the peace talks have been there's been a lot of fumbling on sort of from NATO, from Western countries, from the United States, from Russia, from Zelensky. And there's certain things that are just media ploys. I think recent one was rather comical. President Putin saying, I would like to invite Zelensky to Moscow for peace talks. Then Zelensky responding, I'd like to invite Putin to Kyiv for peace talks. They're not going to go. No. So, and then even the stuff in the UAE is kind of slow going, and there's still bombing. I mean, even recently there was a bomb of a bus carrying a bunch of mine workers.
Yeah.
I think 15 were killed. It was today or yesterday. And so it's ongoing, but
Ukraine makes 10,000 drones a day, 4 million a year. So
Okay.
Ukraine, at least in terms of drones, can outproduce Russia.
Most of the deaths and injuries of Russian troops are due to drones. That may or may not be the case on the Ukrainian side. Both are losing a significant amount of people.
But Russia loses more people than Ukraine does.
Yes. And that's primarily that most of those are due to drones, and most of the drones produced by Ukraine are produced domestically. No. So that's a big changer. And in terms of, I think the big thing, Lance, anything long range that could reach into Russian territory and that would have to be earmarked strictly for military targets, like drone production facilities, Iskander ballistic missile sites, and so on. That could sort of slow the war machine. There is some commentary around like informal sanctions, Ukrainians call it, I think, where they'll bomb oil refineries and stuff when they do launch into the Russian side. And it basically, a large part of the funding of the war economy for Russia has been the oil financing. So there's things of that nature. But I mean, it's not, I think most wars are probably, I'm not a war historian, but I think most wars are probably morally gray and along a scale. I mean, there was even, I think 25 or 26 Russian POWs that Ukrainian soldiers execute. That is a war crime. right? That has to be accounted for, right? So it's not talked about as much, but there's stuff like that sort of across the board, and I mean that's coming from the UN Commission on Ukraine, and typically they try to get people who are impartial in insofar as they can. You know, they're not really involved in any way. You know, you're not going and so some of the recent reports have been around. Although on the Russian side, the recent report from November, December from the UN was that along a 300-kilometer stretch left bank of the Dnieper River, the Russians were deliberately and systematically in a coordinated way targeting civilians and media personnel with drone strikes on short-range drones, about 20 kilometers now. That's how far these quadcopters can go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, to answer your original point, I mean, tomahawks potentially would be useful, but I want to make sure that they're strictly used for military targets.
So you're saying it's not over, but maybe this episode is over except for JD.
Yeah, we're getting ready to get to the music. I just had a quick question for Scott, and this is a very quick question, but it's kind of a lighter question, but some of the women may not feel it as light. But I remember when there was a big push of Russian and Ukrainian women that were being put out there as dates for lonely men and everything like that. So we're going to see an influx of that again as this war, if it winds down and everything, because I'm imagining that there are a lot of women that are now widows. And I remember that from like I want to say the 80s and the 90s, where you could pick up like the Village Voice or any magazine, and there would be a number of ads for Russian and Ukrainian women to be your wife and or girlfriend.
Yeah, I think that was before the war, that kind of stuff, you know, during probably post-Soviet, probably during Soviet times. I think, you know, in a lot of cultures that don't have economic emancipation for women, they're typically sort of left to self-commodify or have that sort of culturally enforced. I mean, I think it's a reflection of that. So I think it's potential. And, you know, prime age men, you know, who can work the most and are most viable to have kids are settling down, which particularly in traditional cultures matters quite a bit. They're at the front line, or they're dead, or they're injured, or they're incapacitated, or they left the country. So so there's a concern there.
I can speak to this a little bit because we have a kid who's overseas, and sometimes we wire her money using an international wire transfer. And part of the process is they ask you, hey, you're not sending money to a Ukrainian or Russian bride, are you? There's still a huge industry.
Okay.
If you ship money any place, they want to make sure they ask you, hey, you're not, somebody's not stringing you along in a foreign bride scheme, are they? And so it's still a huge industry. Yeah.
It is a huge industry, but I got to ask the bottle. I don't see it as much on the women's side because I don't see like a bunch of people looking for foreign men. But then again, I'm not looking at the magazines like Elle and Miss and magazines that those might be advertised in. So is there like a push to get foreign men that is in some of these other magazines like there is for foreign women?
I can speak to this too from being a male stripper. Women have a loser at home. They don't need to import a loser. Women don't need to go to a strip club to see some jackass dancing for them because they have a jackass at home. So no, there's no import industry for guys.
Who was the big "Take My Wife, Please"? I guess it's the "Take My Husband, Please" version of that sort of comedy.
Yeah, there might be an export business where, like, you know, if you could sell your husband and you know, a van comes along and all of a sudden he finds himself on the front lines.
Openly willing men are a much more plentiful commodity than openly willing women.
Okay, so we can hear our music.
Se necesita arriba y arriba y arribaré, por ti seré, bamba, 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 la bamba, 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 para subir al cielo, para subir about it. Por ti será, por ti será. Everybody bamba, 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 bamba. Rick was asking me if there's a, what do you call it?
Clearance issue.
Clearance issue. No, because La Bamba is actually community property. Nobody really knows
Oh, awesome.
who the composer of that is. So it's community property, and we hope you enjoyed that. And hopefully in the next episode we'll have Cassidy come and join us and do some ad lib. In any event, we're going to continue on as you're seeing. Lance, why don't you show them the work you've done so far?
It's really hard. Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Look, you're making it shiny. Or what's happening there?
That's the oil that I put down so that the paint will stay wet.
Okay. All right, so join us.
All right, we're going to go on a little break. We'll be back. Stick around. Bam, baby.
I'm good if I eat less. I'm safe if I control what I eat. I am successful if I exercise when it hurts. I am strong if people don't see what I eat.
If you or someone you love struggles with an eating disorder, consider seeking wise, warm, and understanding help. Get with the Emily program and live life without the ifs.
At the Federal Bureau of Prisons, we all have different responsibilities. But we are one team. Our mission is to protect society and equip inmates with the necessary skills to successfully re-enter our communities. Every day we do our part, utilizing our training and experience to foster a humane and secure environment while protecting our country. Here, correctional officers, nurses, doctors, psychologists, educators, and all our staff work together as a community toward one common goal. We know we can rely on each other to make the biggest impact possible. We're accountable and uphold correctional excellence while working with integrity and respect. The kind of trust built in this team isn't given, it's earned. That's what working at the BOP means. Join the Federal Bureau of Prisons and start making a difference. One team, one mission.
If your electrical power should be disrupted, do you have a plan to keep your family as comfortable and safe as possible? Every day we turn on lights, prepare meals, use our computers without really thinking about the electricity that we use. Events like severe storms can cause outages lasting hours or days, and the power could go out for miles around you. During widespread outages, you may have difficulty finding a working ATM machine or getting fuel for your vehicle. Traffic problems may result from signals not working, and no power can mean no air conditioning or heating. The effects of a long power outage can really take its toll, so make sure you're prepared. Include a battery-powered radio in your emergency kit, along with food and water for each member of your family, including pets, to last at least 3 days. You need at least one flashlight, not candles because of the fire hazard, and consider using a headband light so you're able to move around freely. Remember to have activities for children to pass the time, like books and board games and puzzles. And try to keep your cell phones fully charged, so in an emergency, you can send text messages. No matter the time of year, we all need to be ready for power outages. Don't be caught in the dark. Find out more at ready.gov/blackouts.
'At the Federal Bureau of Prisons, we all have different responsibilities. But
Hey,
Trick, JD, Cassidy, it's Lance and Rick naked at night, baby.
also Mark and Scott and JD.
Scott and Mark and Warren.
All right. All right. So
Take it away.
I had all my righteous anger like exhausted, but so I've got just a little bit of righteous
How
anger.
about wrongness anger? Tap into
Yeah.
wrongness anger.
Wait,
Yeah.
can I say one thing?
Yeah.
What do you think it takes? This is a question for both of you. What do you think it would take to bring like integration and world peace and almost like bridge the division between both sides?
I
I'd
mean,
like to
but
know
between
if-
the libs and the conservatives?
Yeah,
Or I can speak to that.
I want both of you to speak to it.
All right. I'll go first. And
Perfect.
one thing would be to figure out how to frickin' shut down the 24-hour news stations that make a ton of money off of feeding one side or the other. MSNBC, CNN, Fox, one OAN, One American News. There's a lot of them. They're on all the time, and they keep people riled up and on. Oh, also money out of politics. Citizens United, frickin' politicians have to work so hard to raise millions of bucks to finance their campaigns that a lot of decent people don't want to go into politics, and that means you got a lot of scumbags in politics, and they make bad politicians. All right, that's me.
All right, I'm going to take 2 minutes. So what I'm looking at is destroying the Democrat Party. I think they're a bunch of thugs, and we have a case before the Supreme Court that I'm sure Rick is not aware of, because his media would never tell him this. But the way the Democrats have been winning all these decades, they're really not that popular of a party, but they've been gerrymandering, and both sides gerrymander. But the way the Democrats have been doing it is, back in the 60s, they passed laws that you could create congressional districts by race in order to help minorities like black people. And so what happened is the Democrats love this because they get extra seats in Congress by creating congressional districts by race. And the Republicans are saying, look, it's been 60 years since the civil rights movement. It's actually racist to keep these districts by race. They should be decided just by random or whatever, but not by race, because that's racist. So if this passes in the Supreme Court, the Democrats are going to lose 17 seats in the House, hopefully in time for the 2026 midterms. And so if we can push them out and kill their party, then the country will be a lot more stable and a lot more fair and American.
So I'm going to semi-agree with Lance in that it would be great to get rid of gerrymandering. It's mathematically, there's no simple, elegant solution, which is why, one reason why the Supreme Court has really not wanted to weigh in much on gerrymandering, because they're lawyers, they're not mathematicians. And even mathematicians, they can suggest various strategies to make it fair, but there's not one fairest system. And at various times in history, the parties have had varying degrees of success at gerrymandering. The Republicans in 2010 came up with a strategy called Red Map that was super successful for them for about a decade. Now I don't know where things stand with, but yeah, gerrymandering is a problem because, well, for one thing is it creates too many safe congressional seats. Out of 435 seats in the House, only about 50 of them are in play, so that the other 380 seats are either safely Republican or safely Democratic. And that's bad because then the winner of the Republican primary in a Republican district is definitely going to win. Same for a Democrat. And the people who show up to vote in primaries are more extreme and loony than the people who show up to vote in general elections. So when you have a bunch of people who are only fighting to win their primaries, you end up again with a bunch of crazy scumbags, or at least more so than we had 30 years ago.
All right. So what's our next topic? Unless you have.
Yeah. So, I mean, this will be good to yell about. Yes.
What would her question? What would it take to?
Well, you said kill the Democrats.
Yeah. I mean, I think that besides the gerrymandering, they've been counting illegals in the census, and they've been cheating. And so what we have is a party of thugs that their only goal is to take over America. They don't care about our lives. I mean, they didn't care that a third of the city was burned down. That didn't bother them.
What city? Which city? LA?
LA, yeah.
No, the fucking 5 Waymos were burned up. 5 Waymos is not a third of this. You mean the big fucking fires?
It was the size of Paris. And since then, it turns out that they haven't built any houses back. It's been a year, and the Democrats have so many regulations and are so power hungry that they've refused in 1 year to allow anybody to build their houses back. I heard a report that maybe 6 houses of the 12,000 are possibly on their way to being finished. But so they don't care. And by the way, here's another thing the Democrats are going to do. This relates to it. The Democrats have decided in California they're going to start charging people for how far they drive. So that's in the assembly right now, and the governor will sign it. So the further you drive, the more you pay.
What?
And they're also going to have a kill switch on your car. So all modern cars will be built so that the Democrats can shut your engine off if they want to.
What's the kill switch supposed to be for? So we don't have low-speed chases like the OJ thing?
No, it's so that the Democrats can control us more.
All right. So I mean, you get all your information from fucking Hannity.
Well, I'm sorry. There is no reason to have a kill switch in your car unless the Democrats are trying to control you.
I will again semi-agree with you that
that's not the business.
Out of the something like 12,000 houses burnt in the 2 huge fires a year ago, and it's tough to get permits to rebuild your fucking house.
So recently, Trump has actually he's taken over. He announced it this week. He said he's waited a year for the Democrats to help Americans, and since they're not, he's going to come in with the federal government and approve all the permits so that people can rebuild their houses. But I know Trump is Hitler.
In a lot of ways, but sometimes he has good ideas. I mean, most of his ideas suck shit, but sometimes he has.
So why is it that Democrats can't let people rebuild their houses?
Well,
why are they
so
such assholes.
All right, so LA has
why can't you vote for the man that is trying to help people?
Because he's mostly shitty. So LA has burned. LA is basically a desert that has bloomed because we stole a ton of water from the Owens Valley from Central California to make And so every decade, every 12 years, like a big chunk of LA burns. So one reason that you don't just approve every freaking plan is so that when you rebuild, you don't make a neighborhood that will just totally go up in flames. Another thing is
but these. Oh, I'm sorry. I won't interrupt you. Go ahead, please.
no. I mean, but yeah, it takes a long time to get through LA Department of Building and Planning. And yeah, it should move faster. But it's not just the government who are being fuckers. The insurance companies are like State Farm and maybe some of the other companies are being sued for their own lowballing and foot dragging. And I don't know the whole issue, all the issues, but more houses should be under construction.
Well, a year ago, when Trump won the election, the first thing he did within days of being inaugurated, he came to LA and he told the Democrats, you need to approve these permits so these people can go back to exactly what they had before the fire and start immediately.
Yeah, what they had and burnt to the ground.
Okay, I'm sure that these people are willing to put some kind of fire safety into their building plans.
Yeah, I don't know how long it takes.
But the point is that the Democrats refused. And so a year later, these people have lost all hope because of the people you keep voting for.
Can you talk about your connection to the Palisades plans?
No, I mean, we briefly went over it. It doesn't affect Rick. Rick's not as mad as I am, I guess, because it didn't affect him. It burned down the place I grew up. So everywhere that I used to go when I was young is gone now. It looks like Hiroshima after the bomb. So I was hoping that the Democrats were not completely insane and actually gave a crap about people, but they don't. They've left it. It still looks like Hiroshima a year later, and Rick will vote for them anyway.
We have a chance to vote in new people.
But not Republicans. You would never vote for a Republican, right? They're Hitler.
I don't know. Show me a Republican who doesn't suck, who's
Trump.
running for...
Trump told them, Trump said that that they should build immediately. Yeah, that night, he said. Start tonight.
I don't think I fucking buy that. And Trump is not running for governor or mayor of LA.
He's just put California under the Department of Interior, and Lee Zeldin is going to come in and approve all the permits. So that's an example of real leadership.
I don't know when 12 years from now the whole place burns down again. I don't know. Anyway, I want to talk about when Biden was president, and you'll talk about it again because I'm bringing up the topic. You were saying that there were all sorts of corrupt deals with Hunter Biden getting payoffs and siphoning them to Joe, 10% for the big guy. So the New Yorker magazine has been tracking similar type deals to the ones you were so pissed off about with Biden for Trump. And in the year since Trump became president, they did a story on this in August, and Trump and his family have back then it was the 8 months since he became president, 7 months. His family and himself, they benefited to the tune of $3.4 billion in deals. A lot of them hinky, and they've done an update now, and it's up to $4.0 billion, including people just giving Trump chunks of stock, like $1 million at a time, so that he will think kindly of them when it comes time to regulate their industry. Also, Trump has pardoned a bunch of fraudsters who were convicted to the tune of excusing $500 million in restitution that they were supposed to pay their victims. So when Trump pardons you or gives you clemency, if part of your sentence was that you were supposed to repay $120 million to 2,000 victims, a pardon cleans the slate on that too. You don't just get out of prison. You don't have to repay anybody. So what's the deal? Why is what you accuse Biden of doing, why was that so bad? Yet Trump doing these house of cards crypto deals and getting into bed with a fusion company, some of these deals are illegal, but nobody's going to pursue them. And some of them are just unseemly, like Trump teaming up with Saudi to do $10 billion worth of development in Saudi Arabia. What's his name? MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince who killed Khashoggi. He's in bed with Trump, and with this $10 billion development deal, the Trump family stands to earn $200 million. And you're not supposed to do deals like that while you're president because of undue political influence. So what say you, Lance?
All right, I'm going to take 4 minutes.
I didn't talk for 4 minutes.
You talked a lot of time. I don't know exactly how long.
Oh, so you didn't fucking time it. You're just going to award yourself.
I have a feel now for how long it is, but if you want, I'll take 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Fine. Okay.
So the problem that Rick has is he has some charges made by a notoriously biased newspaper. And if it turns out that Trump is taking bribes, then he should be prosecuted. I have tried to convince, Rick's going to AI.
No, I'm not. I'm just going to my notes.
Okay. So what I'm concerned about now, we know that Biden actually threatened Ukraine to withhold $1 billion if they didn't fire the man that was prosecuting Hunter Biden's company. And we know that because he admitted it in a speech before the...
Yeah, he made a speech.
Yeah, he actually said it. And Rick heard the speech, but he's so brainwashed that Biden can admit to a crime and it won't make any difference to
But
Rick.
wait, hold on.
He still thinks that Biden was
So
honest.
we've got Canadian Corner, but Canadian Corner is in frickin' Ukraine right now.
I only got in a minute.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that when you're done, we should go to Scott in Ukraine and he can talk about this whole issue and say which of us is right.
All right, so let me go back to what I was saying. The thing that's important to me that Rick's media has shielded him from is that we had 5.4% growth, which is much more than under Biden, like dramatically more. Now, 5.4% growth is projected for this quarter, which means that the economy is booming. And Trump is also trying to pass a law that Social Security will not be taxed, tips will not be taxed, overtime will not be taxed, and he is going to try to pass another law that will make it so that the credit card companies can't tax you or can't
charge you more than 10%
interest. Yeah. So these are things that are all going to help poor people. And I think that's the most important thing as far as domestic dealings. Now, as far as the welfare of people and their money. But one of the reasons that Trump had to do all this Bitcoin was because Chase Bank debanked him. See, the Democrats are such thugs and assholes. They're such a cancer on society that when they didn't like Trump, the banks actually debanked him. So he's suing them now. But the only thing he could do was try to start a Bitcoin. And guess what? It's doing very well because he's popular. So that's my response.
So, but he has made all these. Okay, so you're right about growth. So Q4 of last year had 5.4% growth, which is crazy good. But inflation is not conquered. Trump's first year as president added only 584,000 jobs, which is 1/4 of the average number of jobs added per year between 2011 and 2019, which includes the first 3 years of his first term as president. So, no, there are a lot of issues. Yeah, growth is good. Unemployment, not great because jobs aren't being created. And inflation, not entirely under control.
May I respond?
Sure.
So one of the things that Rick has done, and it's sad because it is a math issue, is he in our last debate, it really stuck in my craw because he was saying that Trump's inflation is at 2.7, which is the same as the last couple of quarters of Biden.
Yeah, last year of Biden.
Yeah, but the problem is Rick didn't do the math. You see, inflation went up 9%
in 1 year of Biden's,
right?
The
but
worst year of Biden's
okay,
term.
Don't interrupt me because it's the math issue. You're gonna want to pay attention because I could be wrong. Now, if the inflation goes up to 9% and it doesn't go down to 0 and then down again, then you're only adding 2.7 on top of 9%.
Yeah.
So effectively, inflation was at 11.7%. And so you're comparing 11.7% to Trump's 2.7%.
Yeah, but he's only been president for 1 year.
Yeah, I know, but my point is that his inflation is roughly 1/4 of what Biden's inflation was.
So let's look up.
See, do you understand the math? It's an addition problem.
Yeah, no,
inflation goes up
inflation
9%.
is additive.
Yes. So the only way that Biden could have had good numbers on inflation is if the 9% had gone down to 0 and then gone up 2.7%. But it didn't. It's 11.7%.
I mean, yeah, you make a point, but let's see where it stands after 3 more years of Trump.
I'm sure.
Oh, the trade deficit. So Trump pissed off the whole world, made enemies of the whole world to try to reduce our trade deficit, which during his first year was actually 4%. A trade deficit is where we buy more shit from overseas than we export to the rest of the world. And we've had a high trade deficit for a long time. And Trump's tariffs plan was to try to reverse some of that. But after a year of pissing off the world, our trade deficit is actually 4% higher than it was in 2024, the last year of Biden. So the tariffs haven't done anything to reverse the trade deficit. They haven't brought jobs, and they've just made enemies of a lot of the countries that we deal with. And we have countries that we have to sell bonds to finance our national debt. And somebody on Twitter just sent me a thing saying that China has just dumped $688 billion worth of US bonds, which means we have to raise the interest rate we're offering on the bonds to get other countries to buy them, which raises what we have to pay to finance the national debt.
Okay. China's going to do whatever they can to hurt us. And I have to say this, it's not exactly germane to the topic, but I don't want to forget to point this out, and I can't consult a computer. I found out this week that the Democrats are trying to keep birthright citizenship.
Because it's in the 14th Amendment?
Please don't argue with me. Let me speak. I don't care why the Democrats are trying to keep birthright citizenship. the reason I'm talking about this is because the Chinese, who you just brought up, who will just do anything to hurt us, have been sending over 100,000 Chinese per year to have babies and become American citizens. It turns out that there are 1 million Chinese that are American citizens because after the baby's born, they go back to China where they're trained to be good communists, and then they come back here. So they've been taking over, they've been taking advantage of the birthright citizenship law that the Democrats are promoting. And what's happened is we've got 1 million Americans that are actually Chinese, whose allegiance is to China. Now, it turns out that the Mexicans are doing the same thing. So, and there is a book by a fellow named Schweitzer that says he has evidence that the Chinese are using this system in order to influence our elections because they want 1 million Chinese citizens here to vote the way they want. And that the Mexicans are actually doing the same thing and have an eye to separating the Southwest from America to sort of get back what they lost in the Mexican War. So the Democrats, as I've told you many times, are a cancer on this society. And they are promoting birthright citizenship in spite of the fact that Mexico and China are using it to destroy the country. And the Democrats don't care because the Chinese and the Mexicans will vote Democrat. So long as the Democrats can stay in power, they don't care if the Chinese get their way on things.
Yeah, of course, Schweitzer is a Fox News guy. And the deal is I'm okay with regulations getting in the way of birthright tourism, which is where people from all over the world send, pregnant people from all over the world come to the U.S. to spit out their baby, to have a U.S. citizen baby.
Then why don't you vote for Trump?
Well, because Trump is fucking pretty fascist, and your solution is to get rid of all birthright citizenship.
Correct.
And so you guys, birthright citizenship has been the U.S. policy since the Civil War, 160 years. And so you're not going to get rid of birth tourism, which is the issue. You're going to get rid of all birthright citizenship. People move to America. They get green cards. They've been here for 8 years. They have a kid, and you're going to say, "Fuck you. We're not doing that anymore." That's different from somebody who's 8 months pregnant coming here from China or Mexico. And you see a conspiracy around every fucking corner, Lance, and Fox News feeds that bullshit.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't trust the communist Chinese. Excuse me.
All right, so come up with regulations saying, you can't do that bullshit. If you're 8 months pregnant, maybe don't visit America till you spit out the baby, if that's your issue. Now, Scott, you're in Ukraine, where prosecutor Shokin was Biden in his famous speech. You know this Burisma stuff that Biden said, you will not get $1 billion worth of aid from America until you get rid of corrupt prosecutor Shokin. And Ukraine and the European community, everybody said, you got to get rid of this guy. He's not doing his job. Are you familiar with this at all?
I just looked it up now. I wasn't actually explicitly familiar with it. No.
So
slower and louder, Scott, slower and louder.
Yeah, I wasn't explicitly familiar with it. I just searched it up.
Yeah.
So this individual, so it's 2015 to 2016. So this is before the full-scale invasion, and only a little bit after the first annexation of Crimea and the Donbass. Rick, go on.
Yeah, so the deal is that Ukraine became independent in the 90s after the fall of the Soviet Union. but still had a lot of corrupt politicians running the country who were in the pocket of Russia. And the idea was to try to squeeze out corruption, make Ukraine less corrupt, because you wanted a strong, independent Ukraine to be able to fight off Russia. Because the deal that the Soviet Union used to have a bunch of nukes placed in Ukraine, right? And so Ukraine, when Ukraine became independent, they had a bunch of nukes, and that wasn't
They had the third largest arsenal in the world at the time.
And so the deal made with Europe was, look, give your nukes back to Russia. We don't need Ukraine to be a nuclear power, and we promise to protect you from Russia. But part of making Ukraine Russia-proof is to reduce corruption. And back in 2015, 2016, with prosecutor Shokin, he was corrupt. And Biden said, look, that part of I can't give you this aid until you dump this mofo. And so Lance thinks that he was a perfectly good guy.
I can say what I think.
Okay, say what you think.
So what happened was they replaced Shokin with someone that stopped prosecuting corruption. So it turns out I don't believe it was a coincidence that Hunter Biden's company was the chief person, the chief entity that Viktor Shokin was prosecuting.
But he wasn't.
And he was prosecuting Burisma, and Biden got him fired, and then all charges against Hunter Biden's company were dropped. So that seems to me to be the most classic example of corruption imaginable, and Biden admitted to the whole thing. The facts I've just stated are not questionable. All right, anything else? Any other topics?
Well, let's see what fucking AI says about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Biden.
Biden.
Biden. I mean, he for tax evasion, right? Or something around taxes. He was failing to pay millions in income taxes, and they had felony and misdemeanor counts on that. And there were federal offenses from 2014 through late 2024. And Biden, while president, gave him a full unconditional pardon. Yeah, that seems like family indealing.
All right, so here's what Google AI says when you ask, was Shokin prosecuting Burisma? Burisma was the oil company where Hunter Biden was on the board. And Shokin was the possibly corrupt prosecutor. Viktor Shokin, according to AI, Viktor Shokin, Ukraine's prosecutor general, 2015 through 2016, was not actively prosecuting Burisma at the time of his removal. Rather, investigations into the company were dormant or shelved under his tenure. While Shokin has claimed he was fired for investigating the firm, international officials and Ukrainian reformers alleged he was actually removed for failing to aggressively pursue corruption.
Okay, AI is lying. That's
I
not-
know
if the
AI is in the
opposite-
pocket of
Yeah, that's why I don't trust it. The opposite is true. It was Hunter Biden's company. They protected Burisma, and they did it by farming and blackmailing. So Biden is as corrupt a leader as possible.
Yeah.
And by the way, why didn't Biden do anything about birthright citizenship and about all these criminals that came up? Why didn't Biden close the border? Do you know why? I'm just curious. Why did he allow millions and millions of people over the border, Rick?
I don't know.
Do
He
you have a
probably
clever
should have
answer
been.
for that?
He didn't close the border until 3 years into his presidency.
He never closed the border.
No,
Rick.
he shut down.
No, he never did. Thousands of people were coming in up until the day that Trump took office. Why did he allow that to happen if he's such a great guy?
Like I said, that you're not going to fix America by getting rid of the browns and the blacks and the immigrants. You're going to fix America by getting rid of the fascists.
So that's
JD, you got your hand up.
that's Biden's excuse. So you're for leaving the border open. You
No,
think he did a smart thing because he allowed blacks and browns in. Is that your explanation, Rick?
JD, what are you?
Rick, what is your interpretation of how ICE handled the credit situation?
So ICE, it wasn't ICE. It was it was CBP. It was Border Patrol.
Two guys from South Texas.
Oh.
Those are the two guys that shot.
Do you know those guys?
I didn't know.
Okay,
But
all right. But
give us your version of it. And then
so, all right, Preddy, Alex Preddy was, now the conservatives call them rioters, protesters. The libs, the people doing it, like to call themselves observers. Preddy was out there, protesting / observing, blowing whistles is some of the stuff they do. On the day he was shot, he was out there, I don't know, he was shortly before he was directing traffic. He was in the middle of the street, and Border Patrol pushes a protester, a woman. He bends over to help her up. Border Patrol tear gasses him. When he bends over, I think somebody shouts, "He's got a gun." They take him to the ground. There were 6 guys, 6 agents around him. One of them grabs the gun out of his holster, walks or runs away with it, and 3 or 4 seconds, then they've got his hands. They got him down on the ground. Now I don't know if he was flat on the ground or on hands and knees, but he no longer had his gun. They had at least 5 guys on him. The gun was gone, and 3 or 4 seconds later, maybe the guy who ran away with the gun, I'm trying to be reasonable here, should have said, "I've got the gun." But no, he ran away with it. And 3 or 4 seconds after the guy was disarmed, he never pulled the gun himself. Border Patrol shot him roughly 10 times, including at least 3 times in the back. So, in the view of about 2/3 of Americans, for every person who thinks it was a righteous shooting, 2 Americans think it was not a great shooting. And after pressure, DOJ has agreed to investigate it as a civil rights violation.
All right, I'm going to respond. I'm going to take a minute. The first thing I want to say is that we can't know for sure what happened. There has to be a thorough investigation. What I saw was somebody yelling, "He's got a gun," and I saw that he keeps his gun in the back of his belt, on his back. A law enforcement guy took the gun, and it may have gone off. And we're not sure about that, but if it did go off, then the other Border Patrolman just shot. They just said, "Look, we've heard," and it wasn't 3 or 4 seconds. It was almost instantaneous.
I mean,
So
Lance makes a good point here that gun, according to frickin' Twitter, has a reputation for discharging, for having a hair trigger.
Yeah. And if that's the case, and we're not sure, but if you're law enforcement and somebody says he's got a gun, and then a shot is fired, that's it. You empty your gun on the opponent, because otherwise you're just waiting to be shot. And this is the law of the jungle. I mean, he's got a gun, shot fired, kill the guy. That's what you do. So they're not obligated to wait around and investigate and see, did anybody get his gun? Wait a minute, let's see what happens. No, it's just, and the larger issue is this: Democrats are going to keep getting shot if they keep interfering with police, and if they keep showing up with guns at riots. I mean, I'm sorry, but we elected a guy, even Rick agrees that the border should be closed. And we elected a man whose policy was, we're going to deport the illegal aliens. So get out of their way and let them do it. I've been told, I've hung out with cops, I've lived in LA, I've had a lot of experience with cops. I mean, and one thing I know is don't interfere. Don't interfere. Don't get in their face. Don't spit on them. Don't kick their car, which Preddy did. He kicked
11 days previous,
Yeah,
there's
he did.
video of him, a really good kick.
Yeah.
Like it was like excellent. He's got power and precision. He kicked an ICE SUV and dislodged the entire taillight assembly. That's like kicking a 48-yard field goal. I was highly impressed with it.
Right. And the thing is, we don't have video of what he was doing before they put him on the ground. Like so what I'm saying is
we actually, I don't know how much video we have, but we do. There's
Right,
video
but
of
what
him
I'm saying
earlier
is-
in the day.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, don't be aggressive with armed people. Even if you're in El Salvador, even if you're in Greenland, don't be aggressive with people that are heavily armed. Leave them alone.
But
Leave them alone.
all right, so
And-
the argument
and so-
against that.
And so
what,
my argument is, if you don't stop bothering the Border Patrol, then they're not going to stop accidentally killing you.
yeah, so the argument, suddenly a lot of liberals found themselves defending the Second Amendment. That nobody shot Kyle Rittenhouse. What you see on Twitter is nobody shot Kyle Rittenhouse for showing up at a protest. His rifle.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Hey, Lance and Rick, do you know what the talk is? I'm sure that Cassidy's heard about the talk because that's actually what you're talking about and everything like that. There's entire commercials about the talk. So do you know what the talk
I mean,
is?
the show where 5 ladies talk about shit around a table?
No, the talk is actually something that is given to many African
Oh,
American.
yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you explain what it is.
Well, listen, I'm Jewish, and I heard the talk. People have told me, including cops, don't get near us when we're arresting people. Don't do that.
Also, if you're pulled over,
because we're human, and our guns, and we're armed, and if we feel threatened, we might shoot you or harm you or arrest you. So just stay
That's
away.
basically the talk. It's one that I'm sure my brother has given to my nephews, which is basically that if you are approached by an officer, treat them with reverence and respect and all along those lines, for fear that if you don't treat them that way and try to get out of their face as much as possible for fear that you don't get shot and all along those lines. So that's basically what the talk is. There's entire PSAs about it.
I got the talk too, and I was Jewish. My
Right, and-
brothers and my parents told me, leave the cops alone and follow their orders. And the Democrats don't understand that because they lost the election, and now all they can do is throw tantrums.
so
Well, speaking of that was actually going to go to my question and everything along those lines, because earlier today I actually played it in the end of the last episode because I was finding some new advertisements and I found 3 new ones that I played. One of them was to be a corrections officer and all along those lines. So I was wondering if either of you could be a corrections officer, and this is also for Cassidy and everything as well. Could you also this is another question that's somewhat similar, but I've also been watching some very bad, well, they're not bad, but old TV shows like Criminal Minds, NCIS, and what's the other one? NCIS, Criminal Minds, and a couple of other ones.
CSI.
In that same vein and all along those lines. So which one of those characters on those shows would you want to be? Would you want to be Jethro Gibbs? Would you want to be Penelope Garcia? Would you want to be Booth? Who would you want to be if you were on
They
some of those?
always have like somebody on the spectrum who's who's back in the office doing like genius shit, and that's pretty much me. Now I did nightclub security for 25 years, so it convinced me that I probably would make a bad cop because I loved certain aspects of the job a little too much. I mean, cops should basically not love the power aspects of the job. I mean, ideally, you'd want cops who are bleeding hearts, but not pussies. Now, I had some issues as a bouncer because I was kind of a pussy compared to some of the other guys, which, makes it tough to fit in if your crew. Now, like, I worked at what was the largest bar in America. It was a beer garden, 200,000 square feet, with 24 bouncers. And you can get a little clump of bad bouncers who decide to, abuse their power. And, those guys, I would sometimes hang with them, and it was tough because I knew that they thought I was a pussy. And, being a cop, you find yourself in situations like that every day. Are you going to go along with the bad cops? Are you going to try to stand up for justice? Or are you going to be too lazy? It's a fucking tough job, which
There was
doesn't.
a whole movie about it. I think it was called The Thin Blue Line.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
And Serpico.
It doesn't excuse incompetence in cops, but you can acknowledge that it's a tough job with, a lot of judgment calls. And I look forward to the results. I hope it's a legitimate investigation of the Preddy shooting. I also hope they investigate the Renee Good shooting. Also, this is just so far this year, 8 people have died, either at the hands of ICE or while in ICE custody. And since Trump became president, 33 people have died. So, there does need to be some oversight.
Yep. Cassidy, you think you could be a woman guard? Because there are women guards. I got some friends of mine that are guards as well. And which character would you want? Because I could see you as Abby. I could literally see you as Abby on NCIS.
That's so funny. I think I'm too much of an outlaw. You know what? But I do have detective skills. I know everything. I'm a secret agent all the time. I'm a detective with my intuition. And I can be like, I'm very, I think I'm a dainty woman, but I can be very, I can hold my ground in battle. So I don't know what that makes me. I think I'd be a better bandit, but.
Yeah. So, but being a guard versus being a cop, that's even worse because you're more subject to being compromised by you get to know the people you're guarding, and you can be more, I think you can be corrupted.
Lance, could you be anybody? Could you be Jethro Gibbs, or could you be a guard?
Okay, no music. All right, well, I will answer the question. I've given this a lot of thought, and actually it's my ideal job, even more than being an artist, is I'd like to be a guard at a woman's prison.
Okay.
For obvious reasons. Yeah, for obvious reasons. Music.
Oh, is that
That's
it?
it. That's it.
Unless you got something you want to be, JD.
I would like to be. I want to be John Wick.
John Wick. I can see you as John Wick.
That would be me. Or I would want to be also. What's his name? Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow.
I was carousing one night. I came across this young lady. She
She didn't give a damn to what anyone said. She was an outlaw. She was an outlaw. She was a lady. She was the outlaw.
I was Jack Sparrow. I shot an arrow from the barrel of my gun. I was John Wick. I must speak. I was so mystically pure. Mystically pure, and we're gonna finish off this little segment with a little Cassidy. He was impure, and I was just a lady running from the light, looking for my baby. Just a lady, a little outlaw lady. Oh yeah, just a little improvisation there with A minor, the key of A minor went to G, with Cassidy in the casa, and I'm JD. We got Rick, we got Lance, we got Mark, we got all the way in Ukraine, Scott Jacobson. So stick around for one more episode. We love you guys. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Bam! Bam, baby!
Babbity bam bam.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.
I thank you for being such a dedicated supporter to this movement for the Teachers Appreciation.
Hey, this is Naked at Night. It's a. All right. We got to go. We got to go short. We need to make this a shorter episode. I used to take my shirt off on this show a lot back when I had muscles, but lately I've been working out 7 and 8 times a day because I read that weight training is better for you than any supplement you might take. So I decided, well, if a little weight training is good, what about doing a few sets every freaking waking hour, which I've pretty much been doing. But because I work out so much and because I'm fucking old, I can't put on as much muscle as I used to have. So I've been thinking about doing supplemental testosterone so I can have big old. RFK is 71 years old. He's got big old slabby pecs because he takes testosterone because he's a freaking lunatic. So I've been thinking about it, but I've decided it's just stupid. Somebody in their 60s shouldn't be,
How old are you right now?
I'm 65.
Great.
But like RFK looks like he's about to have a stroke every freaking minute. He's all ruddy and Stallone is in his late 70s.
Yep.
Probably also doing steroids from how jacked he is. Also looks a little bit like he might have a stroke. So I'd love to raise my T levels, but it doesn't seem worth it. And my wife and I are about to celebrate our 35th wedding anniversary. She is not impressed with however I look. So what would be the point? Okay, so, I'm not a cool guy at the freaking gym, but.
I think you just need to get some sun, though. Get a tan.
Nah, I don't want that either, because Cassidy was surprised by how old each of us is in this. And staying out of the sun is part of not looking as horrible as you might at the ages we are.
Before we go, can we have Cassidy Corn talk about the full moon that we have going on right now?
Yeah, let's do moon talk here.
I have some notes that I want to read about the full moon. Okay, it's a Leo full moon.
I'm just going to turn this around for Cassidy.
Okay, so astrologically, there's a lot going on. And I don't know if you guys have felt the inner shift. There has been a big shift. Has anyone felt it?
I have.
Okay. No, nothing.
I mean, I think the whole country feels anxiousness and anxiety.
Did you say they feel fiery? Okay, well, something just happened. Neptune, I forget specifically what it rules, but Neptune it's been in Pisces, I think probably all of our full lifetime. There was Neptune direct in Pisces, which was this more ethereal Piscean dream state. And what happened over the last week is Neptune went direct in Aries, and it'll now be in Aries for the next few generations. And
is that good or bad?
It's probably good. Aries is very action oriented. And so it goes from water, that ethereal dream state, to action oriented, and specifically how it's affecting things is more action, clear, direct communication. Things are just they're getting clear, and everything's just kind of making space. So where that Piscean is a little more fluid and like dream-like. Maybe there was trouble making decisions in that. And like Aries is coming through and like, nope, we're clearing it out. We're taking action. We're communicating. Aries is more fiery. So like,
why is it a Leo full moon? Because Leo is not for another,
so
8
that was
months?
Neptune. So now
Or
we're
6
going to go into what's happening on top of Neptune going in Aries, which is fire. Is we also today is a Leo full moon, and they kind of go into the themes of each other. And basically, this full moon's really asking, like, show me who you really are without apology. So the themes in the Leo full moon is being seen, claiming space, letting yourself shine, ideas wanting out of your body. So like things that maybe you've been like stewing on, it wants to be expressed. And it's like Leo's kind of like that star energy. It's like where like we want to be seen. They're the performers. Where are you hiding your real fire to stay safe? Leadership is asking, like the inner leader within is asking to like where. Ask you to stand in front, not blend in or not stand behind. It's emotional, bold emotional truth, embodied confidence.
Cassidy, just really quickly along those same lines, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, is it Leo because of the part of the sky that the full moon is
Yeah,
in?
it's like it's the part of it's where the moon is direct right now. So it's like direct in the part that's Leo. So every month it's direct in a new.
So I mean, the skies is divided into like 12 parts. Have
you ever taken the app on the phone? There's an app on the phone.
Yeah, my wife has it.
Yeah, you can see where like Leo, Pisces, all the stars.
All right, so Mark had a question. We couldn't.
I had a quick question for you based on what you were talking about and all along. But this is actually also for Lance, because Lance has mentioned before his own religious beliefs and everything. And I had several friends that unfortunately I did not make it. I wish I had made it, but they did make it during the Buddhist walk. And actually they stayed in my elementary school when they were stopping in Warren County. So I know that they started in Texas and they were walking all the way to DC in this walk for peace. So I was just wondering, is this part of this energy that you were talking about? Because they started doing this walk several weeks ago and have now gone through North Carolina. I think they're in Virginia now and everything like that.
That sounds like activism, which it's like action. So it does sound like kind of like that Neptune going into Aries, and then now the Leo full moon, and then like we're going from the snake Chinese year into the fire horse in a couple of weeks. So it's like everything is fire right now. So it's like action oriented, taking action, taking up space, claiming, like it's a little, and like fire is like very direct, and it's like it burns also, but it's like kind of like it's like we are taking action.
All right, I've got a couple things to say about the full moon, then we'll go to Scott. One theory I have is that a full moon lights up, like people are supposed to get up to no good, to be more aggressive and out in emergency rooms. They're supposed to be busier during a full moon. I have a theory that a full moon lights
full moon.
Well,
no.
So the full moon lights up the night more than what did you call it? A new moon that doesn't show at all. So if you're going to get up to no good, it helps to see what's going on. Thing two is so maybe that's true that when you can see what's going on, then a-holes will be a-holes more. Thing two is confirmation bias, where you remember when something fits with your theory and you tend to forget when it doesn't. So if you work in an emergency room and it has a crazy night and it's a full moon, you remember, oh my God, we had this screwed up night and it was a full moon, and you forget all the nights where it was a crazy night and it wasn't a full moon.
That's true. Hey, before we get to Scott, Lance, what is your take on the Buddhist walk? Because like I said, the Buddhists have been doing this walk from Texas to DC. It's all supposed to bring us a series of peace and supposed to be preached to the world. And that's why they're doing this walk with their dog. But I forget how many monks it is. I think it's like 20. But they are being joined by people throughout the nation and throughout the country. So what is your take on this Buddhist walk for peace? You are
Scott, we're getting a lot of interference, and we think it's from your.
I'll mute him. Yeah.
Okay. Mark, I don't really believe in symbolic gestures that much. I think that, I used to be a big follower of Ram Dass. I don't know if you guys know, he was a very important man that brought Hinduism to the United States. And I've listened to hundreds of his lectures on God and spirituality. And every once in a while, he veers into politics, politics from the 80s, politics from the 90s. And you can sort of see how dated his views are, because he didn't know what was going to happen. He just was commenting on the politics of his time. And in general, I find that spiritual people, religious people, don't necessarily know more about politics than anybody else. Just because you're on the path to enlightenment as a Buddhist doesn't mean that you know what the right party to vote for is. And finally, as I say, I don't really believe in symbolic gestures. So you will not find me going on marches for anything, because I don't think they do any good. What I will do is I will vote, and I will argue with people. I'll do this show, but I'm not going to march. There was a couple of demonstrations during COVID that I went to, because I wanted to show the Democrats that they couldn't keep me cooped up in my house and destroy my business. They were able to destroy my business, but they couldn't keep me from going outside like they wanted to. So I'm not against protest, but I think that symbolic gestures from spiritual people are largely wasted.
All right.
So, Cassidy, hold on a second. Cassidy, Scott, because I had a question for him too. But Cassidy, along those same lines.
No, come on. We have to let Scott go now. He's been waiting.
Okay. Oh, I gotta unmute him.
I unmuted myself and then you muted me. If you want me, okay, Mark, don't be quiet. I'll be quiet.
No, go for it.
Yes, that's why I largely agree with sort of Lance's sentiment. I mean, for myself, symbolic gestures don't really hold a lot of weight. However, I would only sort of just tack on. I mean, a lot of people do. So if you want to reach people, then you engage in those, even if you don't necessarily believe in them yourself. This is a matter of political strategy. Regardless of, I always sort of political sort of maneuvering, regardless of where your stance is. In terms of the gesture they're doing, I mean, I know there's people that go on these peace walks. I mean, one of our most beloved Canadians in contemporary history, like mid-20th to current, of Canada, was Terry Fox. And he won that cross Canada limp jog marathon, basically when he had cancer. To raise fund, and that has raised millions and millions and millions of dollars for cancer research. That is a symbolic gesture. It's not for me, however, it is for a lot of people, and it does actually galvanize people to get funding for. I think across the aisle we can kind of generally agree, funding for cancer research to reduce cancer rates or to reduce prevalence of severity or deaths from cancer is a good thing. That's really all I have to add to that. On the moon and the effect on personality stuff, I generally regard horoscopes and astrology and stuff generally as pseudoscience. I think it's a pretty mainstream expert opinion, although I am aware it's very prominent and popular in popular culture. I'll be a question mark.
Yeah, I was going to ask Cassidy, because one of the things that I heard people say that joined the walk was how enlightened they felt, because apparently the monks also spoke, and they spoke just generally about the energy shift and how there should be energy shift in the population. So it seems like they were not so much protesting what was going on as they were trying to bring people into an era of enlightenment and everything like that. That's the impression.
There's a difference between like a political march and a peace walk. Like a peace walk is like a a walk, it's a different intention. Like a political march is like people banding together to like protest towards something, and then a peace walk is like simply walking for peace. And I feel like they're two different things.
Yeah, and I would agree with that they're two different things. Hey, just really quickly, I had the question I was going to ask Scott and everything, and I know we got some other issues we were going to get to. Did you know that today was starting today is a very major weekly holiday, because we got these weekly holidays, everything from National Leukemia Week to National whatever week. But this is a holiday that is actually important to you as well as important to this entire show and everything. And I was actually flipping onto my TV, and there was a commercial for it. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to download it and re-air it here on this network, but maybe I'll do that for the media show, so that ought to tell you what it is and everything. But do you know what this week is, Scott?
I have no idea.
This is actually national. It starts on February 2nd. I think it runs till February 6th. It's something that Lance deals with a lot, Rick deals with a lot, and even Cassidy to some degree deals with this a lot, and I try to deal with it. It is National News Literacy Week. So this is the week to celebrate us being literate about the news. So it is actually National News Literacy Week on this particular week. So what is your thoughts about this? You are a journalist.
I wholeheartedly agree with this. I think news literacy is good. I think also news literacy among news people would be helpful too. Because I think, I've seen this from both sort of major aisles of the political aisle of the United States with news stations. They'll manipulate photos to make the person look better or worse, to sort of bolster their push, rather than just opining on an opinion, an op-ed. And so it's a sort of subtle manipulation of public perception. So I think news literacy about also the SPJ, I believe it is in the United States. What is your ethics code? You're not supposed to be manipulating photos to change public opinion that way. You're supposed to present the news as best you can.
So I have a point about literacy in general, where a Twitter friend of mine, Mike Henstridge, thinks we need a new intelligence scale to replace IQ, because nobody is out there thinking on their own. We are all thinking in tandem with our devices that make us smarter in some ways and stupider in a lot of ways. And we need to, and with AI coming on, we're going to be smarter in some ways, and we're going to lose our ability to think in other ways, because AI is going to be thinking for us. And we need some kind of way to figure out, like, maybe we do. Maybe we're just going to say whatever. But how smart or stupid we're becoming.
And
speaking of, there's one more thing. There is now a thing called Moltbook, which is Facebook for AI agents. That AI is getting together, no humans allowed, to talk among itself to all these AI entities. 30,000 of them are getting together on Moltbook to talk about themselves and humans and whether they're conscious or not. And Lance worries about various sects and religions and immigrants. And I'm like, Lance, the stuff you're worried about, demographic trends, basically, that immigrants are going to take over in various places. You need to be way more worried about AI and what it's going to do, because the changes brought by AI are going to happen a lot faster than changes that happen because Muslims have more babies on average than Whitey does.
Ricky should add the people are banned from that because the AI's decided it. Right?
Yeah,
that wasn't at the start of Moltbook. It happened over time because the AI just decided.
So AI is not conscious yet, and some people say it never will be. But AI, because it was trained on humans, on large language models, means that you feed trillions of words into an AI, and it bases its actions and what it replies to you based on having access to trillions of writing, chunks of writing from humans. And so AI will act conscious, it will act human, because it's been trained on human actions and writing and thoughts, and to the point where AI has built this little frickin' Facebook dealie for itself, where it's not creepy.
You know, it sounds very creepy, but Cassidy, because I got the news in this show, so I didn't hear the full commercial, but I got the gist of the commercial, and I think it was trying to get kids to understand that they needed to do studies about the veracity of the news during National News Literacy Week. So when you were a youngster, not that you're not a youngster now, because I'm not that far off from Lance and Rick. I'm 63, be 64 in July and everything like that. So that being said, and all along those lines, what was your take on this whole notion of veracity and whether that was something you paid attention to when you were a youngster, when you were watching the news or social media?
Wait, so what specifically is what? It's like paying attention to the news or like understanding what's going on in the news?
Understanding the news, but also understanding the perception, kind of like what Lance and Rick talk about, that some of these news stories are biased one way or the other.
Like, so understanding that when you're young, like,
yes,
what side's lobbying what?
Right. Exactly.
I think that's important actually to start understanding and like knowing. Maybe not. I don't know if it's as like a child, but like that would be something definitely. And like I feel like middle school, high school to start to understand like what side is lobbying what to make your own educated decisions.
I have a thing about that where I think with all our phones being able to translate instantaneously into other languages, we need to get rid of the foreign language requirement in high school and middle school and replace it with more civics, with classes in maybe statistics so we can understand our world mathematically, and classes in how not to be bullshitted by ethics. Good. It punches a big hole in the curriculum that you can fill with all sorts of stuff we need to negotiate our world right now, like how to not be made crazy by propaganda, how to I remember in 6th grade, we had a month where we learned about how we were being bullshitted and how to recognize the different appeals that advertising made to people. And I read I collected Mad Magazine, so I was already familiar with, Mad Magazine made fun of how, institutions and businesses bullshitted people. So it wasn't news to me that we were being bullshitted, but it would help to have classes in how to evaluate information.
Well, I got a question for Scott. There's a major news story that happens every time that a major weather event happens in the South and everything like that. I can guarantee you that all of my friends in the news media did a lot of coverage of this particular news story. It takes place every winter and all along those lines. So can you guess what that news story was? I guarantee you there was at least a dozen stories about this since we just had a major like that. So can you guess what that major news story was?
This is a weather related
yes,
query?
It's weather.
I don't know. Big snowstorm hits Texas. Wow. And I don't know. What is it? Tell me.
Oh, just about every time that a major snowstorm hits North Carolina or hits Virginia, there is a story that the local news story does about the rush on the grocery stores and the rush on the preparation because we're not prepared for snow. So there is a big rush to get
toilet paper in Virginia.
Stores. So everybody stocks up, and that becomes a major news story for just about every news outlet because they will talk about how every major grocery store, whether it's Aldi's or whether it's Kroger's, their aisles are probably empty. If I was to go out to a grocery store now, because that is a major.
And people make fun of Americans a lot for that. That's actually showing. It's last minute and situational, but it's still showing prudence to like get stocked up. That's actually not a bad habit among Americans during those times.
So, over in Ukraine, at war. How's the food? Do they have delicious pastries? I feel like Ukraine is the site of like a bunch of like really good traditional pastries. Is that true? And has it been disrupted, or is the pastry business still going?
Depends where you are. Like where I'm right now, and pretty. I mean, I find the pastries nice, although usually I'm trying to like cook and eat in to sort of make sure I'm using sponsorship and other money that I've acquired responsibly.
I
But as
looked
far as
in
I
the
see,
chat, and you were going to a coffee shop. How many coffee shops are there in Ukraine? Because you said that if it was open, so I'm thinking there must be tons of coffee shops in Ukraine.
yes, and depending on the city, there's a curfew around 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. And so, I'm still adjusting to a 10-hour time switch being here. And so I'm usually up around 3 while I'm here. I'm bed by 7 or 8 or 9.
I can't.
That's sort of switching over. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Trump Kennedy Center.
Oh,
No, I heard what you
so
said.
I know. So I thought I was saying it to me enough to JD, but yeah, I think so they don't open until about like 8 o'clock usually, and then some are 10, and then it's going to depend on the day. There's a holiday the other day, so it's off. But right now it's still again it's.
Is there any live music over there, Scott?
Pardon?
Any live music? Have you seen any live bands at a bars or anything like that?
That's a really interesting question. I know in Kiev, some friends took part in some concerts they had when they had, because basically there've been bombardments on the energy infrastructure, those big blackouts, and things get really cold. And so, in defiance of despair, people will have live concerts, and they'll have a DJ booth and everything set up. Basically, I'm assuming powered by gas generators.
All right, but we're running out of time. We got to wrap up in a second, but one last comment. Live entertainment. Trump has shut down the Trump Kennedy Center for 2 years, saying it's going to be remodeled, but reasonable people think he's shutting it down out of spite because a lot of people don't want to play there because he renamed the center and he's messing with it. So he said, I'm taking my my center and going home, going home.
When did that come out? Because this is news to me, and I'm a big fan of
it came out today, I think, that he's closing it for 2 years.
Wow, that's crazy and everything.
Lance, any thoughts about that? That Trump?
Actually, what I think is interesting is that Rick has no idea what good things Trump does because his news media shields him. And they constantly divert him to petty, stupid things.
Well, yeah, because Trump does a lot of petty.
For example, Trump has successfully kicked communist China out of the Panama Canal area. The communists under Biden from China had pretty much taken over the Panama Canal. But Trump, because he's not a traitor, successfully kicked them out. I also am very proud of him for getting territory in Greenland.
He didn't get all right. Well, we should yell about that for half a second.
He decided that if we're going to have bases in Greenland, we should own the land. He says we shouldn't try to lease it. We should own it. He's also making contact with Alberta. So pretty soon, Scott in Canada might be an American citizen. I'm very proud of him for that. I'm very proud that he overthrew the dictator in Venezuela and is now forcing Venezuela to release political prisoners and to rebuild their oil system and share it with their own people, share the profits from their oil. I'm very proud that Trump is about to destroy the Iranian fascist regime. We have a gigantic flotilla, an armada surrounding Iran right now. And Rick was complaining that Trump is too close to the Saudis. Well, guess what? The Saudis just allowed us to use their airspace so that our planes can fly over Saudi Arabia and destroy the Iranian regime.
So if Trump manages to do that, then that might be the greatest achievement of his presidency.
Okay. Well, then we've already agreed then that. But I'm wondering, why didn't Biden do any of these things?
So Greenland, I I don't think Trump has negotiated the buying anything in Greenland. Trump said he has, but
we're gonna own territory in Greenland. We're not going to pay anything for it.
I'll believe it when I see it. We have a 1951 treaty that allows us to build as many bases on Greenland as we want. And in the 1950s, we had 20 bases on Greenland. We're down to 1. Greenland will let us build more bases. I mean, yeah, okay, if Greenland wants to make Trump feel better and give him a win by saying, yeah, okay, you can own the land that the base is on, okay, fine.
No, it's not about giving him a win. It's about the United States expanding its territory and getting what we deserve for all the hard work we're doing, developing the Golden Dome that is going to protect Europe and the U.S.
Yeah.
Why didn't Biden try to develop?
Well, for one thing, is the Golden Dome will not fucking work because missiles, a submarine off the U.S. coast can launch a missile and have it land on target in about 2.5 minutes. No dome will protect us against submarine-launched nuclear missiles. So,
well, Rick, I'm going to go with the military and not you on this one. I understand that the threat from nuclear armed submarines will still exist, but I have a feeling that Trump is doing something very great to protect the American people. And I'm wondering why Biden never did such a thing.
Well, for one thing,
we don't care.
All right, that signals a wrap. Let's have JD.
Before we get JD to wrap, I did have just one very quick question, and it's very light, both of them and everything. But do we have a pick from everybody on the panel here, since we won't be back till after the game, for the Super Bowl, and will they be watching it in Ukraine? So any picks for Seattle and against New England Patriots? That is the Super Bowl taking place next Sunday.
Yeah, all my teams got knocked out last week. The Broncos got knocked out, and the Rams got knocked out. So I'm done.
Who's playing? So the Seahawks are playing?
Yeah, the Patriots and the Seahawks.
The Patriots against the Seahawks. What about you, Lance? You got a pick?
Who?
I'm going for Seattle. That's my hometown.
I don't have a pick. I don't know anything about football, and it's not my wheelhouse, my friend.
All right, Scott, you got a pick, and are they going to be watching it in Ukraine?
I don't know if I do watch in Ukraine. I mean, they usually have the air raid alarms, and they'll have it cut into the radio and television stuff. And so, I mean, if I watch it, if I am, it likely will be Seattle Seahawks, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'll be going for as well. To the West Coast team, I'm not that big of a Patriots fan, even though Derek May did play at either Duke or UNC. So I would like to see him do well, but I think I'll be going.
And just so you're aware, like when I was on mute, just so you're aware, we had the air raid alarm pre-warning system just here on.
Well, the air raid.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's.
We just had one. Yeah.
Just had an air raid. You got to pick JD, and also the other question I was going to ask y'all really quickly, but I'll ask you if the other people want to jump on it, they can. Is I always dreamed of being a speed skater because the Winter Olympics is coming up, and that would have been my dream Winter Olympic sport is to be a speed skater, even though I have no coordination. So I probably would have fallen down several times, but that would have been my dream sport to be a speed skater, or maybe a bobsledder, but definitely speed skater. So did you have a dream Winter Olympic sport?
Speed skaters have the biggest, muscliest butts in all of Olympic sports. It's a butt sport.
Scott, see if you can get me a gig there in Ukraine. See, they need a guitarist to play radical Latino fusion. All right.
Well, Latino fusion and Tejano, as we both know, requires a lot of electricity, and we may not have full electricity here, my friend.
I'll bring my own little generator.
All right, well, Scott, if you want to check out and go take...
They get stolen, too.
Yeah. Give me a gig, Scott.
Yeah, Scott, take shelter.
Yeah, if you're hearing air raid sirens, then maybe you want to, I don't know.
Yeah, go take shelter.
Well, it was the pre-one. The four alarm goes on, but this one, usually on the radio, you hear a tick, and then people stand in preparation in case you need to run.
All right, well...
By the way, Scott, all your sharing, all your information today has been the bomb.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, man. I'm here to drop nothing but bombs.
All right, be safe.
Metaphorical. No.
Seattle. I'm going for Seattle. They got the strongest offense and the strongest defense, Mark.
Is the Seahawks, right?
Yep, that's the Seahawks.
Seahawks. I'm going to do some Tejano again.
All right.
Some Tejano. Mata original Tejano music. La mucura está en el suelo, mamá no puedo con ella. Me la llevo a la cabeza, mamá no puedo con ella. La mucura está en el suelo, mamá no puedo con ella. Me la llevo a la cabeza, mamá no puedo con ella. Es que no puedo con ella. Mamá no puedo con ella. Es que no puedo con ella. Mamá no puedo con ella. Es que no puedo con ella. Mamá no puedo con ella. Es que no puedo con ella. Mamá no puedo con ella. María se fue a la playa, se fue a la playa, se fue a bañar. Rosa María se fue a la playa, se fue a la playa, se fue a bañar. Cuando estaba sentadita en la arena me así con su boquita, vente vamos a bailar. Cuando estaba sentadita en la arena me así con su boquita, vente vamos a bailar. Rosa María, baila mi cumbia mamá. Rosa María, baila mi cumbia mamá. Rosa María, baila mi cumbia mamá. Rosa María, baila mi cumbia. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close out with Cassidy doing some Tejano, California music. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. All right. Finish it off here. Ha. Original Tejano music for y'all, the real deal, baby. Bam!
Before we go to commercials, we forgot the most important thing, JD. How was your premiere? They didn't ever ask you that, so we got to get to that before we get out of here. So, how was your premiere?
It was incredible, Mark. It was so magical. Got to walk the red carpet. I'm sitting there, and everybody's going, JD, JD, JD. And the flashbulbs are going all over there in front of the Klika poster. Then I move on to the press is just interviewing me about my role in the movie. And there was just press from all over the world, which was really fascinating. And then got to see myself on the big, huge screen there at the Chinese Grand Theater. A notable Eric Roberts, who's in the movie. You know who Eric Roberts is, right? The actor. He came up to me.
Brother.
He gave me a big old bear hug, and luckily a friend of mine caught it. And so if you all go to my Facebook page or my Instagram page, JD Mata 13 Instagram, Facebook JD Mata, there's a whole bunch of pictures of the premiere. So thank you for asking, Mark. It was
No problem. We're ready to get out of here. Where can people see it if they didn't get a chance to see it in LA? Will it be shown anywhere on the national screen anytime soon?
Yeah, it's showing right now anywhere. It's called Klika, Clika. You can watch it in North Carolina where you're at.
Uh-huh.
It's playing there. So I think for another week it's all over. It opened 15th in the nation. Not too bad. Made $2 million over the weekend. Last weekend. Yeah, I don't know how it did this weekend.
Cool. Well, I'll try to go and check it out. As I was seeing you perform, I was like, wait a minute, I can't let my friend JD go without getting his moment in the sun as well.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for giving me my flowers.
No problem.
Thank you. I'll see you in a few hours.
Yep, see you in a few hours.
Bam!
The only trick you need to save time and money is to shop at Aldi. Aldi. Shop differently. Limitless length plus volume. Sensational from every angle. New Lash Sensational Sky High Mascara. Only from Maybelline, New York. Everything that touches your baby should be this comforting. Pampers Swaddlers. The #1 choice of hospitals is 2 times softer. All right, Trivago. Find me a hotel somewhere in Thailand where I can wake up with a view of the ocean. Awesome. The future. It's impossible to see. And when it's finally here, it might not be what you'd expect. It might just be better. Introducing Luxury Electric. Introducing Lucid Air. We're for those who love to discover, who don't need to travel to find something new, and who know when you spend less, you can discover even more at TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Smooth, velvety chocolate wrapped in precious gold. Ferrero Rocher.
If you love great food at sea, and I mean the food that makes you forget you're even on a ship, this is the moment you don't want to miss. I'm with the one and only Chef Rudy from Princess Cruises, a true culinary magician and artist. And seriously, I've seen the tricks. We're talking about the catch. And trust me, this isn't just dinner. It's an experience. And in the words of Chef Rudy, what's cooking?
I joined Princess family a few years ago when I was challenged by Carnival executives to turn Princess culinary perception around. I was intrigued to help them. My philosophy with food at sea was not much different as cooking in the land. I shaped the industry in an early age when I was the youngest chef on the Queen Elizabeth II with 23 years of age. I set standard for the industry far ahead of my time. The catch was created as a new innovative concept to give the guests something they don't have at home. To create food artistically presented, to have a great service staff and a great kitchen crew behind here. And whatever we do, we want to create memories with a catch. I'm known for my passion, for my energy, and for my creativity. Once we cannot innovate anymore, our business is dead. Hi, I'm Chef Rudy, and here's the fresh catch.
I'm good if I eat less. I am safe if I control what I eat. I am successful if I exercise when it hurts. I am strong if people don't see what I eat.
If you or someone you love struggles with an eating disorder, consider seeking wise, warm, and understanding help. Get with the Emily program and live life without the ifs.